Hello everyone. Today we're going to have a go at making this dragon painting. Now we're going to focus on starting with shapes to help us to create the animal. So we use shapes and we build up the shapes to make it, to turn it into the animal. And we're going to start today with a big squiggle in the middle of our page, and this is going to help us to form the body of the dragon. Okay, now to do this task today you will need a piece of paper, a pencil, a black pen, and then you will need something to colour in the dragon. Now the best thing you could use is watercolour paint. So if you have watercolour paints at home, they would be ideal. Therefore you would also need water and a thin paintbrush and a slightly thicker paintbrush. You could also use drawing inks. I have drawing inks here. You may not have them at home, but you may. And if not, if you don't have that equipment, you could use oil pastels, you could use coloured pencils, you could use felt tips. Okay? Right, so let's get started. The first thing we need to do is do the outline of the dragon. And to do this, we are going to use pencil first. Now, normally I say start straight away with your black pen and not worry about mistakes, because mistakes we can change. But today, we're going to use the first shape that we make on our page as a guideline. And we won't need all of the lines at the end of the lesson, so we will need to rub out parts of the lines that we make. So I'm going to press hard on my page so you can see my marks, but you need to press nice and lightly because later on you're going to rub out some of the lines. So you need to press as lightly as you can on the page. So let's have a go, Year 2. I'm going to put my dragon picture there to help me to draw the dragon. Okay, so here goes. Well, I'm going to actually leave it there because it might be helpful for you to have the picture, but I haven't got space on my camera. So what I will do is I will start by drawing the dragon's head. Now I'll leave a little bit of space at the top so I can add the details. But the dragon's head at the moment is just going to be this oval shape. And then from that oval shape, I'm going to draw a wiggly line going across my page like that. Now this doesn't look like a dragon, but these wiggly lines and shapes are going to help us to form the body of the dragon. Okay, so the next step we need to do is to, from this oval shape, is to form the head of the dragon. So what we're going to do is we're going to start to add the dragon's mane. So I'm going to start to put the dragon's mane around the top of that oval shape. And then his mouth is going to come down here, and then I'm going to bring a line in to make the shape of the mouth underneath, and you can make the mane running along the back of the dragon. Okay, then I want to make the double thickness of the dragon's body. So I'm going to put a line just here, and this is going to go right the way round inside that space and all the way down to the end. And then here I'm going to create the dragon's fiery tail. Now can you see how I've used that single line to suddenly create the shape of the dragon? I'm going to add a leg coming out here, and a leg coming out here. Okay, And now I've got the initial shape. I need to start rubbing out a few lines. So I need to rub out the oval shape coming around here, because I no longer need it. I have created my dragon's body shape, so I can rub out that oval. Okay, now yours will be easier to rub out because you'll have pressed nice and lightly. Okay, and then I'm going to rub out the lines that overlap the legs and the body. And then I'm just going to join up some of the lines there. Okay, so that's my dragon shape. Now what you can do is, now you're happy with the shape of your dragon, you can go around and highlight with your black pen all the lines that you do want to keep. Okay, and I'll give you time in the video now to do so. Okay, so now you have created the dragon's body shape. It's time to start adding some details. So I'm going to add an eye shape. I'm going to give him a fiery, angry eye and an eyebrow going over the top like this. You may want to make the eye longer. Okay, and then I'm going to give just a line of flame coming over here and a nostril at the front. And then I'm going to add a long tongue inside his mouth, teeth. Okay, and then I'm going to start to add scales on his back all the way along like this, all the way down the back. And you can also add them so they go right the way around here and then over the top here. Okay, so all the way around this part of the body, all the way around here. Okay, the next step is to add the scales on his body. So these need to overlap. So we put them in between each other like this. Okay, and they can go all the way down the dragon's body. Okay, I'm not going to do that now. I'm going to leave you to do that part of the dragon. Now, let's get on to, once you have finished all of those details, then you can think about painting your dragon. Okay, now I am going to use my watercolour. Now, we've talked about how to use watercolours before. Remember, you'll need a nice fine brush. I'm going to add plenty of water. Add plenty of water, stroke it on the side, and then start to add your paint. And I'm going to do his front of the dragon's face, a nice bright red colour. Now remember, you're using the tip of your brush to ensure that you don't go over the lines. Now you can see that my black pen is running a little bit. That's because it's not a permanent pen. I like the effect that gives the dragon. Then I'm going to mix with my red. I'm not going to clean my brush completely. I'm going to mix in some yellow paint. Okay, and I'm going to keep painting, mixing reds and yellows and oranges all along the body shape. So he has a mix of colours going right the way around his body. This is if you're using watercolour. Okay, so you're using reds, yellows, oranges. You may want to have a little bit of green on your dragon. It's up to you, okay? But remember, you use the tip of your brush, you add water, you stroke it on the side, you add the colour, and today it doesn't matter so much if you don't clean your brush between using colours, because it's nice to mix the colours a little on your dragon. If you are using drawing ink, now remember, drawing ink is much finer and you don't need any water on your brush because it is very, very runny. So if you're using drawing ink, you are stroking the paint on the side, and you are using exactly the same technique, using the tip of your brush, holding your brush like a pencil. But what you will need to do is, in between painting, you will need to clean your brush, stroke it on the side, wipe it on tissue, and then add your next colour. Okay? That's if you are using the drawing inks. Okay? So you need a nice thin brush for that work. Okay, if you are using pen, pencil, oil pastel, now oil pastels work quite nicely. Oil pastels, again, remembering that you are colouring in one direction. It's the same with using pencils or felt tip pens. You're colouring one direction, a little bit at a time, and you're making sure you don't go over the gaps and don't leave any gaps. Sorry, over the lines and don't leave any gaps. Okay, so you've got to have nice, well covered work. Blow any little bits of oil pastel that get in the way. Okay, then once you have coloured your dragon all the way around, then you can think about the background. Now, if you are using the watercolours, remember that a watercolour wash works really well. A watercolour wash is when you wet your brush, you wet the paper, and you wet the paper right along, and then you add paint on top. Let me get a little bit more paint. And it creates a nice wash in the background, okay? But it is up to you to decide how you paint the background to your dragon. I've just here given you some ideas on different media that you could use to paint your dragon. Now, if you have a look at this painting that I did earlier, you can see that it's got some pattern. I used watercolour, but you can see I've got pattern in the background. Now, we've done this in class before using drawing inks. Do you remember what we did to make those patterns? We we sprinkled a little bit of salt on our work, and this is the effect that it creates. So if you wanted to do that on your dragon work, then you go for it. It would look lovely. Okay, so I'm going to leave you to decorate your dragon, to colour in your dragon using any media you like. So you can use drawing ink, watercolour, or colouring pencils or oil pastels. If you're using drawing ink or watercolour, remember you can use a little bit of salt to sprinkle on your work if you'd like to. And year 2, I can't wait to see your work on Firefly. Good luck.